Hey, Mark. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Rick.
Hey. So, Mark Gill is a member of our trusted advisors group. He is the CEO and founder of On the Mark Advisory, uh, a consulting firm working with people to better understand and implement operations. And so, I really look forward to hearing more about you and your business. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your background, and what led you to start on the Mark Advisory.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rick. Um, my background for the last 20 years has largely been in residential design, build, construction work.
Okay.
I came out of flood insurance adjusting. I was a FEMA adjuster for a while.
Oh yeah.
I adjusted Katrina
Oh
and
boy.
Sandy, which are two
Wow.
well-known storms. It's a lot of fun. At some point in time, the travel no longer mixed well with family,
Yeah.
and so I went to work for a design build firm here in DC area.
Okay.
Then for those guys, I did sales, ended up being the general manager. At a certain point, moved up to a larger firm, bought equity in that firm, was general manager of that firm for a while. We self-implemented EOS. In the EOS model, I'm what's called the integrator. So I
Absolutely.
was the integrator for that firm.
Yep.
We grew from 2.6, 2.7 million to about 7 million over that time.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Spent a little time rebuilding the systems to be team centric versus owner centric, and we rebuilt the culture as well to be a team centric, customer centric culture,
Wow.
which was really cool and really kind of fun.
That's
So
awesome. That's
yeah,
great. And so you created On the Mark as kind of this next step in your journey. So tell us, what are the services that you provide to clients?
yeah, absolutely. So when you come to the end of a big journey like that, 20 years in the industry, you ask yourself, what are you going to do next?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I look for is like, what do I think I do pretty well?
Yeah.
What do I really enjoy?
Yeah.
And what of that can you take out and help others?
Sure.
And so for me, what I found through the different peer groups we were in and different friends that I have in the industry is that often there's a big gap between I have a great new idea or I have a big problem in the actual implementation of that idea or the
Yeah.
resolution of that problem. Uh,
Yes.
Mostly because people are busy, they're running their company. Often, who knows how to fix that problem, who has the skill set or the time to do it. So what I've done is build a firm that comes in and helps operationalize or execute those items.
Got it.
Basically, build a system, build a process that lets that new idea come to life.
Okay.
Often sets up that company to scale.
Yeah.
Company. What one of the big problems companies have is I'm working 100 hours. I can't get to everything,
Right. Right.
and what do I do now?
Yeah.
And so we'll go in and systematize, set clear expectations, set up training, things that new people can come in and they know what to do.
Right.
Transparency and visibility. So the owner of that company, when they start to take their hands back off that company a little bit, they can see what's happening. Right. So there's not that fear that, hey, things are going sideways and I don't know.
Right. Right.
And then that allows that company to scale.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
Um, so in the language of EOS, there are implementers, which we
that's right.
have with our trusted advisor with Ross, and then there are fractional integrators.
That's correct.
So talk to us a little bit about when you come in to do fractional integration work. What does that look like? What does a typical gig look like?
Well, first of all, if a company watching this is thinking about doing EOS, you should hire a professional implementer.
Okay.
We self implemented. It was just okay. Paying to have somebody to come in and do it right is worth it every time. And
I know several of our folks have tried, and about a year in, they go, "I think I'll hire the
I
guy,"
think I'll hire somebody.
and they bring someone in who, because they're very clear systems and processes, and they're well trained, and here's how you make it happen. Okay, so then it's up and running, and then where does the fractional come in?
Right. So EOS thinks in terms of visionaries and integrators.
Right.
And so often a company of a certain size has not yet hired an integrator. You could think of them as an operations person or a general manager.
Right.
And so in order for the implementation really to work and go, you need somebody that is going to run the system day in and day out, week in and week out.
Got it.
And so what companies will often do is they'll hire someone like myself. I'm a certified, trained EOS integrator through the EOS Masterclass program,
Okay.
to come in and bridge them from where they're at to the point where they hire a full-time operations person / integrator.
Okay.
And so I'll run that EOS system on a week in, out basis,
Okay.
help move the initiatives forward, move the company forward, so that when they're ready, they can bring in that integrator from the outside, plug them in. I can train them, get them off and running, and then the company can take the next step, right?
Okay.
And that's when the rocket fuel from the book Rocket Fuel
Yes.
gets poured into the mix, and
Yeah.
the company really takes off.
So when you're doing fractional work, how many days a month typically are you working with one given client?
It depends on the needs and the size of the client.
Okay.
Typical is 1 day a week.
Okay.
Some clients go up to 2 days, 2.5 days, but typical is 1 day a week.
At that point, they might as well be hiring someone full time.
You're starting to get into that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. For sure.
Absolutely. Now, your background has been in the insurance adjustment world and then design build. So how easy is it for you to apply this to IT or healthcare or industries outside of really the construction world?
Man, that's a great question, Rick. And I think the answer to your question is great questions. So obviously in the construction world, I'll know how the game is played. Right. I'm gonna know from the day I walk in the door how the game is played. I will not, however, know how the particular company plays the game.
Yes.
So as you get into particular construction companies or you move into new fields,
Yeah.
I spoke today with a guy that repairs motors.
Right.
The answer there is asking the right questions. What I need to know is, what are the key moments that make your company successful?
Yes.
What needs to happen in order to make those key moments work correctly?
Right.
Who are the right people in order to make it happen?
Right.
Once you know those things, then you just apply the process, you apply the theory. You'll find that EOS implementers work with a large variety of companies because the thought process and the philosophy of it applies to a large variety of companies.
Right.
The key is me asking the right questions and learning the right steps and process and thoughts and key moments in order to deliver.
That's great. What I find so exciting about EOS and really more broadly the kind of professional operations that you're bringing in. We bring in a CFO, a finance perspective, and you take pretty much a balance sheet, cash flow statement, income statement, the same no matter what industry you're in. IT, you apply to any industry, HR systems, any industry. And we've oftentimes not thought about operations as there are certain fundamental systems to operating any business that you can learn and that you can implement. And you and I have talked about, mapping out a process, starting from the customer back. What's the process? Where are the issues? Is there natural flow? Are there obstacles along that way?
Yep.
And so it's so important to be able to look at whatever you're doing as a process map, as an operating flow. There's an operating component to whatever it is you do. So
That's right. Yeah, and how do we deliver the brand promise to our client?
Yep.
And often there's internal and external clients.
Right.
You're passing work through a company.
Yes.
I have a deliverable to an internal client.
Right.
Who then has a deliverable to an external client, and we want to make sure we know what those deliverables are and all the efficient steps to get us there.
Absolutely.
And then you put in reporting, scorecards, and key performance indicators, and then you know how the machine works.
Excellent. Well, it's very powerful and needed in many companies. So if I'm a business owner, I'm a CEO, and I'm thinking about how do I go about doing this and when is the right time to engage with someone like you and whether it's the right time. So at what point does it make sense for a CEO to pick up the phone and give you a call?
There's a couple points, but literally companies grow to a point where they are at the capacity of the person at the front of that company.
Got it.
Particularly companies under $10 million, they will run into that spot where I'm now $4 million and I'm working 100 hours. I'm thinking about work all night, all weekend. Uh, my family is starting to not be happy with me.
Right.
I'm really feeling burned out.
Yep.
And I absolutely cannot fix the problem.
Yes.
And at that point in time, somebody coming in to help systematize, automate, make it predictable, literally take the knowledge pieces that come out of that CEO to make the company run and put them into a system and a process.
Yeah.
Right. So that these things are predictable, repeatable, findable, and everybody knows what to do. That is a great time.
Yeah.
The second time that's really productive is after a few turns with that implementer and EOS is starting to operate, and you have the right people on the team. You've started to get the philosophy of how the company is going to look.
Got it.
And now when I come in to build out the process and the system, I'm building with the right people and the right philosophy. It's a great time.
Right. Right.
You'll also see outside of the EOS system, I just had a call this morning with a company that has been working with a former business owner for about 6 months. And they were solving little issues like it's two brothers. What are our roles? How decisions get made?
Right.
What's our org chart going to look like?
Right.
What's our brand promise really? How are we delivering that brand promise? What's the function structure of the teams we want to build? And so once we know that overarching framework of what the company is, then I can come in and build out the pieces that deliver on that visionary future.
Yes. Yes. Fabulous. Well, that's very helpful. So thank you for that description of what it is you offer. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about Vistage and our trusted advisors group. And you are a fairly new member.
That's right.
So, you're really just getting on board. But as you reflect back to our initial conversations and then coming to your first meeting, and seeing what the group's about, what was it that you saw in Vistage? What is it that you see in the Trusted Advisors Group that drove your interest to becoming a member?
Sure. So I have a background in networking. I'm sure everybody's familiar with BNI. I was 13 years in one of those organizations, actually two of those organizations.
Yeah.
The company that I was a part owner in was part of a peer group out of Baltimore. And so banging out on my own, I was missing the interaction with other humans.
Right.
The chance to sit down and open up the books and look at each other's business and actually have a group of advisors or trusted advisors to help you with your business.
Yeah.
And so the interest in Vistage came, one, from the networking opportunity. When we did our first meeting and we sat down and we helped a company work through an issue.
Yes.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah. And that's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third thing was just the quality of people in the group.
Yeah. And the variety. I mean, the exciting thing about, when I look at the variety of one of our CEO groups, it's many different industries. Yeah, it's a non-competing group. Well, the trusted advisors are also non-competing, but we've got, insurance, we've got wealth management, we've got investment banking, we've got a law firm, we've got recruitment, we've got, predictive index. We have, an EOS implementer. So the variety of expertise that sits there in the room, marketing and sales, with chief outsiders. So the issue processing is really very, very powerful given these experienced people in these different functional areas, and you combine all that and you get really quite a fun conversation. Yeah.
Well, even as a CEO of a company, sometimes you can be on your own and be thinking inside your own head,
right?
And having other people just to look at what you're thinking and where you think you're going to go and the issues that are in front of you and go, oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Think about this. Think about that.
Yeah.
Boy, it's just powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. and hopefully some folks will be picking up the phone and giving you a call, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
See you tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, man.
All
Be
right.
well. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rick.